Numerous theories about how the universe was created are found in ancient religion. Almost all religions feature gods and goddesses who are in control of natural occurrences and the creation of the universe. But what about anything beyond the universe and the creation of humanity? Have you ever wondered how and by whom the stars in the Milky Way were created? Well, elements of Greek and Roman mythology provide us an answer. Hi, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we'll take a look at one of the most well-known heroic tales from Roman mythology, one that revolves around Hercules, a hero and god who was the son of Zeus, the Greek god of lightning, thunder, and storms, the most powerful god in Greek mythology. But before we begin, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so you stay notified of all our upcoming uploads. Now, without wasting another moment, let's get started. So Hercules, also known as Heracles in Greek mythology, was the ideal strongman of his time. He has influenced literature, art, and religion with his appearance and strength. But other than having an idealized figure, what exactly is it about Hercules that makes him so fascinating that we can't stop talking about him in mythology? As the son of god Jupiter, or Zeus, and a charming human princess Alcmene, he is known for his many adventures and classical mythology. Like many Greek myths, the origin of his story is the mating of Zeus and a mortal woman, the grandson of Perseus. Another son of Zeus, Amphitryon, tried to conceive a child with his wife, Alcmene, but before she could become pregnant, he was called to war. Before passing away from his wounds in battle, Amphitryon prayed to Zeus for the safety of his wife, and that she would live to carry him a child. Zeus, who was notorious for dressing as another man and having affairs with women, visited Alcmene one night in disguise as Amphitryon. After hearing his great-grandson pray, he then made love with Alcmene, but left before she woke up. She had no idea where her husband had disappeared, but she had later learned that he had died in battle, leading her to assume that her passionate night with Amphitryon was only a dream. Then she was shocked to learn she was pregnant a few months later. Alcmene gave birth to a son, who she named Heracles, in honor of the goddess Hera, the wife of Zeus, whom she worshipped deeply. Hera frequently punished women who had relationships with her husband, but in the case of Alcmene, who was worshipping Hera and was unaware of it, she forgave her. However, she wanted to kill the child, so she sent 2 serpents to kill Heracles while he was still in the cradle. Alcmene came back into the room to find the snakes ready to kill her child, but to her amazement, Heracles snatched them and choked them to death. She and Hera both realized Heracles had incredible strength when the snakes were killed, and Alcmene realized that it was Zeus who came as her husband that night. Alcmene made an effort to raise Hercules like a normal child, but the kid was naturally curious and picked up the art of singing, playing music, and battling. According to one version of the legend, Alcmene abandoned him in the woods to protect him from Hera, but he was discovered by the goddess Athena, who brought him to Hera. Saying he was an orphan kid abandoned in the woods in need of food, Hera breastfed Hercules until he bit her nipple, at which point she pushed him away and her milk spilled across the night sky, creating the Milky Way. She then returned him to Athena and instructed her to look after the child, but by then, Hera had accidentally increased the child's strength and power by feeding him from her own breast. Her wrath was still there when Hercules turned 18. When Hercules asked a priestess for help, she told him to go to work for King Eurystheus. Hera's friend Eurystheus would force Hercules to perform the 12 labors Hercules is known for. After completing these 12 tasks, Hercules would be regarded as a son of Zeus and included among the immortal gods. In yet another version of this myth, Hercules later in life encountered Megara, a princess of Thebes, and the two fell in love. The two married and had 3 kids in Thebes. Hera, the goddess, was enraged by this. Hercules was then tricked into believing his family was a bunch of snakes, so he tried to kill them. After killing the snakes, Hercules realized that they were actually his wife and children. He then fled into the mountains in shame and guilt because he was unable to face Megara's father or the villagers of Thebes. He traveled to the Oracle of Delphi to beg for advice on how to seek for forgiveness for his actions, where the oracle and the sun god Apollo asked him to see Hercules' cousin, King Eurystheus. The legendary labors of Hercules began when Eurystheus informed Hercules that he would need to finish at least 10 labors in order to be spared by the gods. Now, you might be wondering, what were these 12 labors? Let's list them down. Number 1. Nemean lion. The lion had long been terrorizing the people of Nemea. He tracked down the lion and killed it. He later ripped his skin apart from his flesh and carried it as his armor on his head. Number 2. Multi-headed LERNAEAN HYDRA. 8 heads made up the Hydra, one of which was invincible. All the heads were killed by Hercules, who also divided his body into several pieces. Number 3. The Ceranian hind, or golden hind of Artemis. A deer that the goddess Artemis particularly cherished got golden horns from her. Hercules was instructed to bring Eurystheus this hind alive, but the deer was even faster than his arrow, and he spent nearly an entire year to capture this deer. Number 4. Vicious Erymanthian boar. Instead of killing the boar, Hercules started yelling, which caused the animal to become confused and run into a snowdrift. Number 5. Filthy stables of AUGEAS. These stables belonged to a very wealthy king who agreed to accept 1/10 of the herd in exchange for letting Hercules clean it. In just one day, Hercules cleaned the stable by rerouting a river such that it passed through it. Number 6. Terrifying birds of STYMPHALIA. These birds were unafraid of anything and attacked everyone nearby. However, Hercules' roar was so powerful that it echoed off the mountains and frightened the birds flying overhead, allowing Hercules to kill them. Number 7. The Cretan bull. This bull was thought to be crazy and irate. Hercules located the bull and tied it up. Number 8. The horses of Diomedes. The giant Diomedes, who was half god, owned vicious, man-eating horses. When Hercules fed the giant to his own horses, they became calm because the flesh contained traces of gods. Number 9. The belt of HYPPOLYTA. The Amazon queen HYPPOLYTA was the one who, out of sympathy for him, gave him the girdle. Number 10. Cattle of the monster GERYON. Hercules traveled nearly all the way to Africa to steal the cattle of GERYON, the 3-headed, 6-legged monster. After Hercules finished the last of the 10 labors, Eurystheus handed him 2 more, believing that the 2nd and 5th could not be truly counted as done by Hercules himself. As Hercules killed the HYDRA with the help of Iolaus, and he had cleaned the Augean stables by rerouting the rivers Alpheus and Peneus. Possibly the 2 most hazardous tasks Hercules had to perform were the final 2. Number 11. Hesperidean apples. Hercules was sent by King Eurystheus to take a set of golden apples that were Hera and Zeus's wedding present. Number 12. The dog with 3 heads. Hercules' ultimate task took him to Hades, where he had to capture Cerberus, the terrifying 3-headed dog who stood watch over the entrance to the underworld. After having done these labors, Hercules remarried many years later to Deianira, whose name meant man-destroyer or destroyer of her husband. Nessus, who was killed by Hercules, suggested handing poisonous blood-covered clothes to Deianira if she suspected Hercules of cheating on her. Deianira finally handed Hercules that shirt since she thought he was in love with Lol. The poison began to eat away at his flesh, causing pain that even he couldn't stand. He requested that his friend Poeas light his funeral pyre on top of Mount Ida, since he really wanted to die soon to end his suffering. Hera ultimately agreed that Hercules had really suffered enough pain as the fire began to surround him. Zeus sent Athena to rescue Hercules from the blazing fire and ride him on her chariot to Mount Olympus, when he was finally accepted as the god in the end. And that's the entire story around Hercules. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe so that we can bring you more mythical stories in the future. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.